Today we'll be hearing from Jamal Rock. Jamal is a teacher.
Hear ye! Hear me! To thou I scream. Lend me an audible ear. Bear witness to what I have seen. Hear ye! Hear me! To thou I scream. Lend me an audible ear. Bear witness to what I have seen. The path of an emerald enchantress just intersected with that of a beast who feared no foe. Her powers of elemental enchantments and visions and spells, and his a mere passive ability to weaken those who oppose, those who impede, those who delay the route to where he must go. With such a great ability, there is no need for him to strike. For any attempts to physically impair him only takes away from one's own might. But on the other side of sight, the emerald enchantress appeared to take flight. She summoned wings so white they glowed in the night. Her mystic crystals formed a shield, while sage incubated her from evils and strayed from the night. Within her lied an eagerness that was unresolved, as if harmony of this world was her day job. As she glided and stride, she felt the energy from afar, and I quote what she spoke. Never before can it be someone as nearly as powerful as me? I must know who they are. Meanwhile, wounded from battle, the beast lay in his cave. See, success has a price that must be paid. As he heals, it is revealed that such cycles will be consistent in the rest of his days. Such a gift is his burden to manifest as he is learning, to gain prestige as he is serving, only to return it and spurn them for all treasures of this world is not worth earning. A word for intruder, he shuddered a warning. The beast has a sense of hearing that is very acute. So although I can't see, I can hear you. How dare you, fool, to enter my domain and disturb my zen that is peaceful? The enchantress then speak. I mean, you know harm, blessed beast, but your mission attracted me. You're the one to speak, I'm the one with no name. Our origins are different, but our mission is the same. To protect the ones we love, serve all who remain. Well, there's one final mission called love. And for that mission, dear beast, you are afraid of. Hello? Hello? I snap back to reality as a blank stare covers my face. Oh, I'm so sorry. I got lost in your eyes, and I started to dream during the day. Oh. I thank y'all for coming out. I know it's early on a Saturday, and this is an honor that, truth be told, I don't know if I even deserve, but I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy that you guys come out and see me read some poetry from my debut poetry collection, Season Between the Curse and the Dream. It took a lifetime to write, and I consider myself more of a narrative poet, abstract poet, so I'll be reading the poems that I don't get to read too often. I'm embedded in the spoken word world a lot, and that's more about performance. And so I have some poems about that. That's one I just read where I'm coming down here, but there's some poems that really touches my soul that I get to share with you guys that I don't really get to share with a lot of people. So I really thank you guys for allowing me to do that, and thank you guys for the space right here. The first poem that I'm going to read to you guys is called A Deep Thought. An item only exists by what it is perceived, and within its midst lies what we believe. Outliers lay insignificant away from relativity, and feelings of confidence makes way to insecurity. Its true definition one shall never find, for this is the last hour, so little time. Its thoughts, its meaning, dwindling down the line, and the search so difficult, like a deep thought in a shallow mind. A lot of this stuff is actually me spending a lot of time alone. I'm a real reclusive soul. And some of these poems are just me feeling insignificant. Being away from relativity from reality. So the answers to life are so simple, but we make it so complicated. This next poem is entitled Grow. Eat the knowledge and grow. We already told you what to do, so why are you bothering us for? Reaps of insight are to be expected when depths of servitude are so. Eat the knowledge and grow, for the soul should never take score. Immortals entangled with mortals, so on an even higher vibration we must go. Caves and abyss, peaks filled with mist, as a waterfall dies, it is realized we are a few walking what lasts, the last of a species not known to exist. What madness of the riddle is this? An answer we may not know points the direction to where we must go. Although it is written that the path to enlightenment one must never show. Just eat the knowledge and grow. I speak a lot about being a reclusive soul. So I must speak on my two best friends. This poem is titled My Two Best Friends. When I am lonely, when I have no one to hold me, I call on my two best friends, paper and pen. They keep me happy, satisfied, and occupied. For with them, there is nothing for me to hide. When there is no way to express my feelings, they always seem to perceive what I am seeing. Even without a mouth to talk or ears to hear, when I need them, they are always there. Maybe if they had a choice, they would not be here, but sometimes it seems like they are the only ones who care. When I have a lot on my mind, but do not know what to say, I call on my two best friends, for they are the only ones who I know will be there for me again and again. Oh. I wrote that like when I was 13 years old. 43 now.
It's still relevant.
Yeah, exactly, right? This currently might be my favorite poem in this book, and also there's free copies of my daily poetry collection in the back. I love to share my soul, share my energy with you guys, and that should not have a price. That should be free. My soul is free, so it should be you guys too. Right? So this poem is entitled "The External Rain, Hail, Sweet Snow." This poem is actually the missing tattoo on my body. I got four tattoos. One here, one here, one here, one here, right? But there's like a whole, there's a tattoo on one, but I never got the sketching for it. But I'm gonna pull my hands. The external rain, hail, sleet, snow. Being in a state of judgment before knowledge, and an opportune destination awaits. The cold of a winter nightfall remains as I feel the warmth of my new fate. Internal fire turns blood to lava. Insignificance is extinguished by that molten flow. For that fire within shall never dull, no matter the external rain, hail, sleet, or snow. Do not look back, fellow stranger. Expectation can be found far or near. Satisfaction through nonverbal communication may take days, weeks, months, or even years. What is that you hear? 'Tis a howling sound. A siren claims to be an alarm. Lack of concern to where it is from. Trepidation towards where it is going. do a sample?
Yeah, we have to do it.
I have one sample. I feel the words of others can inspire others. So I tend not to write too many sad poems, or at least publish or form a lot of sad poems, because I feel the energy can be absorbed and maybe even in a negative way inspired. So this is one sad poem I put, but it's being transparent. So this poem is titled "This Clear Liquid." Where would mankind be without electricity? Or those with fins in the sea without their water to breathe? Humanitarians have their love for one another. The faithful hold their belief in a higher power. Even the powerful do not have full control over their health. All the while, the rich are baptizing in their humanity wealth. As for me, when I take that trip towards the blue sky, I will have this clear liquid in my eyes, still hearing the whispers of those saying, now that he is dead, I am glad that he died. Poem. Sorry, I had to just transfer my sad poem. A lot of these poems are actually a version of me that doesn't exist anymore. It's a version of me that I can write about in a reflective state. So I'm coming in there and that battle with things. All right, so I want you guys, I've never done this before. I've never done this, all right? So you guys are my guinea pigs, my control group, This poem is titled Sunday Morning Sunrise. I want you guys, when I point at you, to verbally out loud say either or of two words. Hope or faith, right? So when I read the poem, I'll say we all have, and you guys say whatever you believe, hope or faith. Any word you guys want, okay? As a collective. Well, like my whole life I wanted to do this. Okay. Sunday morning sunrise. What a beautiful day to be alive. What is the purpose of buying a rose, eventually knowing that it will die? We all have
Hope
for the best, expecting
hope
to be on our side. That is when our faith and our hope as combatants collide. While they both lead, they each have their contingent of followers, consistent advertising, that which belief is more genuine to their customers. In my many years of existence, there is one thing I have learned, that having hope or believing in faith is no longer a big concern. Anything done in this world is done by? It may not seem that way, but when the sun goes down, I have hope that it will rise the next day. Oh, yeah, that's okay. This one was about my little sister. She doesn't know that. My family doesn't really know any poetry. Well, my mom knows, some cousins know, but my family doesn't know. I don't know why. I feel comfortable performing to people I've never met and sharing my soul, and people I know I'll see a lot. This one was about her when she was born, and when she first started talking, actually. When she was really young. The grass is greener on this side, for the opposites are the roots. Oh, what an unpleasant view from my eyes, if it was not for you. My destiny is fulfilled, for you said it to me, with honesty and passion, but most importantly, sincerity. Faith is never seen, except for what I view, for faith is in the physical form of the one that says, I love you too. Words from the heart, in essence, are in their purest form, and the eyes of the ones who read this was of heaven born. I thank you for being a difference maker in my world, and for proving that God allows his angels to exist in the form of a girl. Sister Jack. My mother and my sister are like my biggest inspirations in my life. This poem is actually about my mother. Let me reciprocate the love that I gave to my sister. This poem is titled Every 12th Day. Is 12th even a word? I don't make up words in my poetry just because it's in space. I know why thorns have roses. I know why the cage bird sings. I know why you had to leave, but I know I need to see you again. I know I will miss you while you're gone, but this pain is a little different. I heard of a son without a mom, and the thought of not having you with me. You once gave me hell, now the thought is hard to believe. You had me feeling powerless, wondering how long it takes the heart to heal. Now, I am really making it without you, without seeing your face. And I cry when I hear your voice on every 12th day. But sacrifices must be made. You're absolutely making a strong one. I do not know how you are doing, but your son is struggling. In short, I miss you. Surely that is needless to say, because it is the 11th, and I will tell you so on the 12th day. Oh. She was in Cuba, y'all, man, working in Guantanamo Bay, and I just wouldn't have access to her, and at the time I was real fragile in life, and I needed, I grew up with my mother in Belize. I came to America, and the first thing I did when I came to America was say, I'm leaving at home, and I was like still in high school, and I Belize, but she allowed me to leave, after that I realized, no, come back. I'm like home. This poem is titled The Gift. One of my abstract type poems that existence that has finally shown, true colors are finally known. The race is not for the swift, vision is the gift to the lion that is finally grown. Obstacles can be seen from the blind side. Only time can make you wise. Program your eyes to be perceptive. True worth values lies in disguise. It has begun, the war proceed. To the victor awaits Valhalla. Pace can't be undone, leave the meager and weak. Peace has entered the battle. Poem. That was all about going for the war and finding peace. Dihydrogen monoxide. I tend to talk about myself in poems in story form because I'm a cop. It's called what it is, right? I don't like to speak of myself in high format, but this poem is about me in a character form. In all this madness, I first off want to thank you all for attending the briefing this evening. So as far as the anomaly we were able to witness earlier, all that is known at this moment is that the source of entity is a projection within a written journal. We will proceed to document and record the events as being transcribed on this day. Now let it be understood that obtaining these words did not come easy. For only doing the sewing is it predicted that what we will hear is scheduled to appear. We will begin with informing you that it was branded with what now seems to be the letter M, located near what we would consider to be near the heart. A sigil of a spell must have been casted for its voice from its body. It doesn't, it wouldn't, it couldn't depart. At the time of documentation, it was feasting on me, although it was not currently in a state of hunger. We now recognize the letter M that was previously stamped was a permission of passage to the land of us, what it considered to be the land of mortals. During an encounter to a familiar place, it sensed simulations, leading it to witness the events described thus far. First off were celestial goddesses using elements to create life from glass. We will proceed by naming that creation art. It observed a form of spell work, sorcery, witchcraft, from an imposter angel making potions from the other side of what seems to be an alcoholic bar. On a night for witches, it knew the line was thin, so it focused on the mission to reveal limitation that keeps us apart. It chose the path of most resistance. As of yet, we are not sure why it chose this route, but we are assuming a lack of our dimensional intelligence. Although it must be noted, it had the awareness to know that its survival was dependent on dihydrogen monoxide, what we here on this plane of existence would consider to be water. Oh. I literally was writing everything I was doing on Halloween 2024. I went downtown St. Pete, which is like what I was doing. It turned out good. A mortal's tale. Speaking of mortals, the sun sets in the west, but it must rise in the east. And during the winter's nightfall, you can witness a beast of the east. Tales from the deep, echoed by tongues from afar. The stories to be told this night shall be only tomorrow. How dare you label me a mere man, human man? Thee is nothing like them. I am less than a celestial, but much more than a king. I have dwelled with fairies, elves, vampires, witches, spells. I have witnessed beings of darkness hell itself has expelled. But on ye journey, a unique entity was seen from wild to wild, for even the creatures of the deep were timid amongst the beasts of the wild. With a grip, a till of reality, power to turn the world on its side. Evidence only to be discovered when one decides to realize belief can vanish, though truth can be dressed in disguise. And for this peaceful soul, the return of his armor for one last ride. Cool. Am I doing it on time? Okay, cool. I know I said they said on Rainy Hill, Snow was like my favorite poem right now, but with a bit of content sometimes. Well, say it on that abstract topic. This is my favorite abstract poem to perform. So, wandering soul is permissible to exist in many worlds. I must now depart yours, although leaving in gratitude shall be written as these last words. So special are the days when energies of attraction connects. Meanwhile, a comet leads way to where astrological maps are being set. The people we have met embrace the displace from our natural home. Earth's topography merely reveals that heaven is a ceiling to our universe's dome. It saddens thee that these unfortunate roads allow me to learn what is claimed to be unknown. I mean, even E.T. was allowed to phone home. Why was I told to just carry on? Weary and thin, but still committed to the journey within. To travel to worlds where it is expected for the wind to sing. Please let this cold rain kiss my skin. To generalize what I now realize to be a life full of lies is not fair to you and I. So let my words form an apology with sincerity that resides in a place beyond horizon's eyes. In peace, I depart your world. A stranger turned friend where bloodlines were never sowed. For people of the sun shall never exist for people of the snow. On this journey, we both must go. Now, eat the knowledge and grow. So I've never read this poem to anybody. Find it. Go to demo copies. So this poem is called Dear Mr. Poet. One day after a show, I got approached by audience members who perceived me to be slow, as if even with directions in my hand, I would not know where to go. They proceeded to ask me the following questions. There, Mr. Poet, how does the intentional use of language development and scribing practices provide us the rigorous poetry content? I replied while stuck in a scene in between a curse and a dream. As a result of our conversation, it is clear that writing is necessary to increase the rigor and elevate our cognitive aptitude within. It builds an elevated corridor for capacity in which one can access, maintain, and achieve levels of accomplishments that will strategically navigate the host of success. Fulfillment creates nourishment by self. Elaborations of descriptions models the way we walk, the way we talk. Use any background knowledge one has attained. These tools would assist in speaking and writing as exploration will only lead to discussions. Doing so makes you an expert on any language function. So brainstorm different applications of your purpose. But truth be told, I am speaking nonsense from the start. Just let your emotions carry your heart and simply write down your thoughts. I was then asked, there, Mr. Poet, how does nonfiction work? I replied, there are merely scenes in between a curse and a dream. A stranger said she prayed for me, and in doing so, her heart burned. I looked up while walking my pup, and I could see UFOs turn. Shooting stars, double rainbows, for what next? My soul yearns. Unlike my last journey, see, those words are written on my left arm. I remember the state of mind, the burden, the push that I have to move on. One can never imagine the storms, the land, the path that I originated from. I awake in the morning bruised and battle for battle. Astral travel by my subconscious while I am unconscious. Knots in my back, crooks in my neck, scars, the absence of breath awakes me. I must be within its grasp. But my story was spoken by the future that a long life I will have. So you want to know how nonfiction works? Well, its roots are instituted with the truth. I elaborate not to exaggerate, but to paint a clear conception to you. Let the audible phonics you hear be your guide, be your steer. And without any presence of fear, walk with me, walk with me, walk with me. Murderers without even knowing they are. Why do some people make existence so painful? Why do they make it so hard to survive in life? I mean, just to win, we must roll the dice, then get the same number twice. It is as if we are mice trapped in a maze, wasting our days, saying prayers, running away from our fears, knowing that it will only catch up to us over the years. We only have one life to live, but that life I will give up so fast, just to get a gasp of another life that I know I can never have. To be free of pain, there is no one person I can blame for giving it to me. So I just have to let it be, patiently wait and see if they continue giving this pain to me. I know they will, but still, I lack the courage to tell them that emotionally I have been killed. Murderers without even knowing they are. They're murderers without even knowing they are. Oh. I got time for one more? Perfect. This poem is a poem that I wrote, I remember when I first came to America. And I'm a nature nerd, y'all. Like, animals over humans all day, except for mosquitoes. So, this poem is titled The Beetle. It is amazing and scary to see all the punishment the human body can take before it concedes to Lady Death. Once, I found a beetle. I proceeded to place this beetle on a piece of paper. I then dropped this paper in a bucket of water. I sat there watching the beetle try to escape, knowing I had her destiny on my finger. I watched it go under the paper, looking for a way out, then coming back on top to catch some air. She did this numerous times before she gave up. I watched her floating around in the water, knowing her final moments were a few seconds away. I then threw another piece of paper in the water so the beetle could crawl on. She did. And once again, she tried to find a way out, thinking that there was a way out. I went away, forgetting about the beetle. When I came back, I saw her floating in the water. I knew she was dead. More importantly, I knew I had killed her. I sometimes wonder about all the punishment my body has taken in this thing called life. Then I say to myself, how and why am I still alive? I sometimes wonder if someone is doing the same thing to my life that I did to that beetle, with me always trying to find a way out, knowing that the only way out is, I thank y'all, I love y'all, my name is Jamal. That's the scary part.
Those are really amazing. All right. So, in preparation for today, I was watching a lot of, or I was reading a lot of interviews that you've done. I've done a lot of research, and I saw that in your interviews and your self-written bios, you mentioned that performing poetry is a passion. We've seen that here today. Do you feel there's something special about seeing poetry performed versus reading it on a page?
Yes, there's a big difference. It's something special to me more about the written word than the performance word. And this is no disrespect to the genre of spoken word performance poetry. But at times, it is about the performance itself, and some of the material can come in face value. I think the written word can take us on a journey that only the soul can provide. So I prefer the written word over the spoken word. To be truth be told, and opportunities like this allow me to focus more on the written word. Poems are narrative poetry. The poems are more abstract. It's not about getting the audience attention or votes or getting the judges. It's more about just sharing your soul, and for me specifically, personally, I should say, poetry is a way for me to share my soul. And the written word allows me to do that more so than the spoken word. So.
I know that you are also a teacher. Do you find yourself inspired by your students, the way they view the world and interact with it?
Yes. Oh yes. They talk about hear ye. My students only do that. I added it to my home. Yeah, I was in class one day. I was like, I got a performance. This is how the poem goes. It's like, Mr. Rock, come in like you're in the medieval times. You hear me? And I was like, are you sure? And it was like, yeah, we can practice right now. So I think at the time they were trying to get out the class assignment, but ever since then, I've been doing hear you. So I actually started performing poetry and getting into the poetry scene locally here in Tampa Bay, Tampa, St. Pete, Sarasota. Started a poetry club at John Hopkins Middle School when I first got into poetry. So this journey that was started with me, started promoting them and putting them on a platform. And the colleagues was like, you should actually read some yourself, So there's an imagination and there's a state of mind that the youth has that the best poets are them.
Yes.
And they inspire me. So for motivation.
We didn't really go over this in your bio, but Jamal is from Louise. He immigrated here when he was, I think, 6 or 7.
No, I was 16.
16, I'm sorry.
Well,
It's the
I
same number.
back at me 6'7". You just want to
So you immigrated here when you were 16. As a child of immigrants, how do you feel that influences your poetry and the language that you use to express yourself?
It's funny you said that. You asked that question, I should say, because I didn't really dive into the poetry, the poems that I read today. One of my poems, I bring out that Belizean Creole, which is my culture. When I say, I try to write in italics maybe in the book, but when I'm performing, I'm speaking my culture. A lot of my poems is, I'm a transparent soul, so I think when I write about Belize, I'm writing about their journey, I'm writing about how to be to, don't tell them about it, to go through a marriage for a green card, like I put that in my poetry. So I'm real transparent about that journey, where I came from. I'm trying to add the culture in there, where I'm speaking the language of my homeland within the poem itself. Like I said in the book, when you guys take a copy, when you guys take a copy.
Because they are free.
Yes, they are free. You see that like in italics, I try to speak in the language of Belize. You guys can pick up on that. I got a poem in there about Belize City, Belize, and it's a pretty rough poem, but this is the truth. I'm a narrator of what I observed, so I had to embed that in the book and embed that in my performance. Not just speak about Belize, but speak how I was speaking when I was in Belize.
It creates a sense of like, you used this word earlier, intimacy. And it puts us in your head, we are intimate with who you are here and also who you are in Belize. I love that. I noticed that when you were performing at the end of each poem, you would just it's just like the smallest voice possible, and I was like, that's so smart. Where did you pick that up?
Witnessing spoken word poets
Okay.
in the different arenas. I think the first time I saw them was when I was in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
And spoken word poets that would say poem at the end. And I was just like, I was very smart listening at the end. So what?
With the interactive poem today, I really liked the way that it demonstrates different ways that people interpret hope and faith, and the way that people replace it, and the way that they replace it in their lives. What made you decide to try doing that today? I know it was your first time on Zoom. What made you decide to be trying today?
Intimacy.
The intimacy?
Yeah. I feel like one, you guys can handle it. And two, you guys made me feel comfortable doing that poem. Like you guys would give me feedback. So what made me choose that poem as I'm flipping through the pages, I was just like, oh my God, this beautiful collaboration. It's actually you guys made me feel comfortable from the time you guys walk through the door with a smile, some more late. But to a hug earlier, like you guys made me into to set up the tripod, like you guys made me feel like I should be here. I want to share my whole sacred self with the people I feel is making me feel sacred.
And then you mentioned that a lot of the poems in there are a version of you that doesn't exist anymore. How has poetry transformed you?
How has poetry transformed me? That's probably the hardest question you asked me. It transformed me into someone that I didn't know was possible. Like I feel like I'm a variant of myself. I'm really kind of a nerd guy, and I feel like this variant of me should be in another dimension. Like I'm Earth 616, but this version of me is what and I kind of mentioned this earlier. Was me in Belize. We didn't have showers, right? Growing up, we would boil a pot of water, put it in a plastic bucket, add some cold water to the bucket, and take like a scoop and everything like that. And I said that not to be transparent, and I said that because during those baths or those showers in Belize back then, I always imagined performing in America in some way, shape, or form, whether it was like a hip hop artist and all that. So I always felt like that was a different variant of me, like that person would never exist, and poetry has allowed me to perform and share my soul the same way every time I perform, I think of that kid in his bed, and I was like, okay, maybe it wasn't a hip hop rapper, this is poetry, and it's people coming out to hear me that I don't speak of. Now, you guys know me from, you guys know me. Some of you guys do. I'm a reclusive soul, I don't speak on my soul, I don't speak on my emotions too much. And poetry allows me to do that. It gain insights into me, my mom, my sister, whatever you guys believe in, fear, faith, or hope. And other poems within the book, it shares my soul without me having to speak. Because sometimes in life, I'm a coward to speak on myself. So.
And then I want to
Yes, the book was actually published January 1st, 2025.
Okay.
I didn't tell nobody.
It just went out there.
Yeah, it was like, I don't have kids, so for me it was like having my first child.
It
And I just wanted to,
was
I just wanted to hold that first child for the first year.
Oh,
Like,
that's-
no, you know, which is actually part of our culture. When you have a child for every 60 days, you don't let nobody see the child, you just keep the child. So, I felt like, no, I'm going to keep this child to myself. And don't let nobody. And when the secret got out, and I don't know how the secret got out. I think somebody saw me with the book one time. I was like, it's yours. And I'm like,
No, it's not mine. It's not mine.
So adopted.
Do you have any words that you can tell us about now, or is there any events we would like to
For me, it's book fairs. I'm promoting myself this year as an author.
Okay.
I really want to promote the book. As you guys can see, not necessarily for a profit or for a sale, but just to promote the book, to share my soul to, like I want to go to all those neighborhood book things. I just put it in there, But I got some book fairs coming up. www.jamalrock.com. First name, last name. That's the best way to keep up with events. The only thing I have book right now is an event with Sean. I love traveling. That's my number one passion in life. So I'm going to travel and perform poetry or read poetry, like that's it for me. So I need to focus more on a lot of local events because I don't really do a lot of things locally. I need to do more. I did apply for that CP grant so I can put on my own show. I consider it to be like a book producer and I'm a fan of the arts, so I want to get like Project Alchemy, contemporary dancers, and I guess some local musicians. I want it to be like just like an art event, so because there's so much talent in this city. But the only event I have scheduled right now is actually a performance, a TV performance in Charlotte in June. I did meet with the owners of Look and Bible, so me and a friend, we're going to get some more readers there, not the words out. So I'll keep you guys updated. If you guys check into the website, that's the best way. And look along Top of Springs Book Fair, I know I'll be there for sure. And another book fair in Nashville. Just give me a chance to go to Nashville. So.
I'm going to open up the floor to questions. We'd like to go into a Q&A session. Does anyone have any thoughts or questions?
I have a question.
Hi. I really enjoyed the one that you said that you wrote when you were 13, the paper and done one. I also like to revisit things I've written back then. But the rhythm of the poem seems to be, first of all, you have great rhythm to your poems, and it seems to be something that that guides you. And I was wondering if you ever have a moment where the rhythm isn't right and it stumps you, and how you sort of get past that.
To be honest with you, I'm stuck with hearing all my poems in a Shakespearean form. And I say that because even back then, their fables and tales of told always rhyme. Greek mythology too. I'm the biggest fan of Greek mythology. And they always write their poems or it's written in a rhyming pattern. And my biggest thing is actually want to get out of that.
Yeah.
So I love the Beatles because it's not a poem about writing and a specific poem. It's just about narrating the events that occurred in that moment. And so for me, it's trying to get out of a pattern that I grew up, embedded in. Don't get me wrong, I do love the Greek fables. I do love uniqueness of rhyming, poetry. But I do want to get out of that.
Yeah. I'm also a sucker for a rhyming poem.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yeah. I love like John Donne and but that's sometimes when you're writing, it's like I want this to rhyme, but it doesn't work.
You know what's happening now in life? I'm starting to speak that way. I'm starting to speak in rhymes. So I'm sitting there
That's so funny because when you were doing hear me, right? I was like, wow, the way you were talking about the piece, I was like, this reminds me a lot of Beowulf. And I was like, wow, that's really good. And then you continued your poetry. There was more fantasy themes and elements throughout it. And I was like, I see it.
Yeah, I spend a lot of time by myself in my own mind, and I travel, to different, like I said, different times. I'm a history nerd, so I'm always thinking about how life was in the Greek Middle Ages, King Arthur, things like that. So, no more questions?
Any other questions?
I was listening to when you were talking about, first of all, you used the word coward about yourself, which doesn't seem anything to approach people and get it out there and make it your baby?
I wrote about different characters, like you said about here. I wrote about a beast. Should be told I'm a beast. I wrote about an anomaly within a written journal. I was that anomaly. So my poems, I talk about myself and I say cowardly because I'm not saying I was the one. Like I'm not advertising myself as the character in that poem specifically. I'm making it into a story. In the story, there's a character that's me. The poem I didn't read today was Fear versus Love. And that specifically speaks on me being afraid. My greatest fear being my reflection. So when I say about being a cowardice, I don't advertise a cowardice in me. And to me, that's cowardly. So I think a guy that's transparent about knowing he's flawed, why not put that in the book that night? Why put it in somebody else's or some other character's story? To me, that's cowardice, but that also gives me room for it.
But you weren't, like when you were doing it, I'm just asking, like, I have ideas I want to do sometimes, and I let a lot of fear hold me back constantly. Things I want to get into art, and I want to write children's books, I want to do these things, but I have this wall that stops me. I just wanted to know for you, was there ever a time that, like, how did you get to the point where you are now? Like, how did you get the words of talking about, your personal stuff? Like, what was your first step in getting it out there? Was it the self-publish? Was it publishing?
We talked about it earlier. There's a guy that's a new poet laureate of St. Pete. Yes. Denzel Johnson.
Oh, wow.
I was at that point. I didn't 3 years ago, I wouldn't consider myself a poet, or I wouldn't know I'm gonna have a book out or published and doing something like this. The person that told me I should do this and push it because he believed in me and believed what I was saying when I was bringing my students up was Denzel. So he's my Yoda, and I say that because this isn't a dream for me. This is not an ambition. The fact that it's happening is so surreal. It's like Jamal not from Lisa to Courtney Crescent. This is about me, So Denzel told me do it because the world needs to hear your word. So I was more so a push than kicking the doors in myself. It's kind of like, no, you go. So I was pushed over the ledge and suddenly jump in with a parachute.
So it's like support is kind of like.
Yes.
But you had a wall, but the person who supported you gave you a parachute and went, go.
Yes. It's just like, Jamal, look up. When I looked up, he pushed me over the ledge. He was like, I knew you'd be fine. Told you. So
There's somebody out there waiting for your words, waiting for your art. Do it.
Yes.
Also, this area is fantastic for first time artists, poets, writers, and everything. There's so many people that want to support you. It's legitimately.
Yes, the community here in St. Pete, it's not just St. Pete, but the whole Tampa Bay area. The community here in this area is, I'm a traveler, I'm one of the many cities, I've never seen it here like this here. Live music, Austin, Nashville, yes. The art scene here, when it comes to the visual artists, the muralists, the musicians, the poets, it's embedded in this culture, it's promoted.
I wrote a book a couple of years ago, and the thing that pushed me through that was I was, formatting it, and I was like, I am writing somebody's favorite book right now. Because the odds are that's going to be somebody's favorite book. There are 70 billion people in the world. One person is going to love that book.
I also, I struggle with that as well. And one thing that I have a writing coach, the writer's group that I'm in, and she says, no mess, no magic. And that takes a lot of the pressure off. And actually that leads me to a question that I have for you. Like when I write a poem, it's a lot of I'll write it and I'll cross it out and I'll say, oh, I need a line here, and I'll write it over here and draw an arrow or something like that. So there's a lot of mess involved in it. But if you don't, I think that takes the fear of failure away, because then you're not freaking out that when you start to write something, or paint something, that if you mess up, it's
but put that away because it might be appropriate or work magical for something else that you have. Yeah.
The process itself is hard. The process itself is hard. Those scratches, those revisions that you're putting in, those, those arrows and adding words, that's art itself. That's the finished product.
So that was my question is, do you do that? Do you, like,
What do your drafts?
yeah, what's your
In
process?
2026, most of my drafts are actually on my phone because I'm capturing that thought all the time. I text myself a lot.
Yeah.
Like, I got more messages from myself than anybody. And I say that because I'm not to put you on blast, but I will. Sabrina in blue, looking beautiful right there. I wrote a poem to her, 2 days ago, maybe? And I showed her the process of writing a poem. And it's me writing a paragraph or writing a couple of stanza and coming back maybe 3 minutes later and writing it, or adding something to it, or revising what I wrote at first. But everything these days are digital, but that art is still there, you know, and it's a process that should be within the poetry, you know what I mean, book. And I say that because if I ever create another edition of my book, I would love the original, like the finished product, I should say, hold up QR codes so you can hear it, you know. But I also love the original, like a scanned original of what that final scratch off and it should, you know, looks like, so you can see. And there was a rapper, Tupac Shakur, I'm sure you guys know Tupac. His poetry, he has a poetry book, and the Rose That Grew from Concrete. And I saw that he did that in his poetry book. There's an original version, or the final version that he, that's published, and the original version that he wrote. And even then, you see him scratching out, you know, maybe drawing like a smiley face as he's writing it, you know, it's whatever. Because you know, I scribble a lot of sometimes. I wrote a poem about the Emerson poet. I wrote that poem in a training. She works with me someone. It was at a training. It was like the most boring training. And they were talking about language, description, all that. I'm like, I'm just writing a poem and I'm doodling as I'm writing the poem. And I would love for the audience to see that. Like, that's how I was creating. Like, it's on a training paper, I'm doodling, it's writing, I'm using what they're saying because I don't care what they're saying, but it's inspiration right now. I can write a poem. So, well, I think that process, on that final product of that process, can be captured. I think that's a work of art, which you have to go through to create that final product.
What's the technical process of publishing a book? Like, how did you get it from, you know, collection into a published book?
I don't know, you're asking me like the most non-technical guy in the world.
But that's like, it doesn't have to be super, like.
Exactly. If I can do it, a dummy can do it, right? Seriously, man. I say that because I published through KDP, which is Amazon, and also published through Ingram Spark. Ingram Spark is where the bookstores, independent books, can get to. To me, that's the most important path, but I mean, you know, we want access to everybody. Amazon's access to everybody. So for me, it just actually started with taking those papers, literally those paper lines, those poems, and transferring it into a Word document. And from that Word document, it becomes your manuscript, and it's simple. It's a simple PDF of it. You know, just make sure everything is, you know, edited and things like that. But a Word document is the beginning of the process. The same for both platforms. You know, the cover, the interior, the final product, the proof. You know, it's like something you gotta go through. But it was really just started with a Microsoft Word document and writing it the way I wanted to look at the book. Everything you see was typed up, and everything you read in the book was manually typed and uploaded in the PDF.
What's the original plans that you would?
Yes, it would be at St. Pete Beach.
Okay.
A friend of mine took that picture. Like I said, I'm a guy that goes out with a crew, but always wanders. And I was wondering, just thinking, I was thinking about the poem Fear versus Love, the coward poem, and the reflection of me coming from the ocean. So, which is kind of would say, if I had a title poem or a lead poem for the novel or for the book, it would be Fear versus Love. And that's an image. One is a real image of me at the beach, but it's also an image in that poem and the reflection of me walking across the water and we meeting eye to eye in the battle of the beach. So,
Does anybody, so I noticed that like the way that you perform your poetry and the way that like you're answering these questions feel like two like very different people. Almost like the performance is like a character. Do you feel like that kind of helps with like your cowardice?
yes, that's everything. That's everything. Like, I'm so nervous. I'm more nervous now than the Q&A.
Yeah.
You know, like over here.
Yeah, you're like very soft spoken when you're talking to us, and like like that feels like very real, and like, not that like your performance isn't real, it is a version of you.
Exactly.
But it's kind of like, that's like a shield that keeps you from, like, almost revealing like the full self, or
Yes.
like.
Oh my God, you see
from-
through.
She does. That's my sister.
Yeah. In real life, I'm soft-spoken. I'm very
Yeah.
engaged in. I'm very communal. I'm very social. I'll probably never initiate a conversation.
Aw.
You know, but once I'm in conversation,
Yeah.
I lead with love. But yeah, I'm a shy guy. I don't like attention. That's not, I don't like attention.
So that's like such a funny dichotomy, because you literally came in here yelling at us, so like, kind of like screaming for attention at that point.
That like, 5 minutes later, I told you guys to shh.
Come down, guys.
That's my mentality. So, but I love the art of poetry. I love the art of performance. Right? And there's one point in this human era where poetry was literally the form of entertainment. You know, for a king, for emperor. But,
Can we
you
go
know,
back to that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm tired of everything.
Yeah,
Let's just go back to like performing poetry on the streets.
Exactly. So when I think of poetry, that's what I think of. I think
Yeah.
of, you walking, like I said, walking into a village, and it's a village square, and it's so it gives me a chance to nerd out.
Yeah.
I don't get to nerd out in life often, so when I get the chance to nerd out.
You don't have to start conversations like in a nerdy context. You just have to subject people to your nerdiness.
Facts.
Yeah.
I like to wear a fandom shirt.
Yes.
Yes, and then people will tell me how they feel about that, and then I interact.
I had a shirt. You see the shirt? My shirt that says, "Hello, my name is Ninja." And I'm like, is that real? Is your name really Ninja? And it's like, okay, so that's a good question. I can. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a nerve breaker, icebreaker. No more questions?
You're like, please, no more questions. All right, if there are no more questions, feel free to get some snacks, mingle for a little bit. We have the room until 11:30. Yeah. No, sorry. Yes, 11:30. Sorry. We have, yes, and if you didn't sign in, please sign in at the front. Next month, we will have Marie Corbett here. She is instrumental in, she was a judge in Canada. She worked with, she created sexual assault reforms. She does novels and biographies. She's super cool. Her flyers up there, as well as our calendar flyers for the rest of the month. So feel free to take those, and there's a bookmark with the rest of the authors for the year.
Yes.
Or not year, up till July.
Take a copy. It's a free copy.
Yes, free copy.
Are you still teaching?
Well, I'm a behavior specialist now, but yes, I'm still in the school system at Largo Middle School.
Oh,
And that's probably the coolest science teacher at my school. So. The kids are always going to be my motivation.